Hello, sunny, isn't it?
Yeah, you're in the tunnel and you're in the tunnel with Neymar for international duty, and you're just like, hey, Ney, how's the weather? Sunny, innit? Yeah? That's what
If
Jesse
someone,
Lingard says. And in many respects, right? Jesse Lingard
uh,
is back in international duty, and that's going to be one of the main topics of this episode, episode 3 of the Go Hour. We already went into a mini episode
woo!
earlier of the European Cup competitions, which included the Champions League and Europa League, so that was a special look. You can go ahead and check that out. Which means we're going to bring in the international break and international duties into this episode. So Jesse Lingard's going to come and feature late in the episode for international call-ups along with Marcus Rashford. But if we're going to start, we're going to talk about some domestic leagues. This is the Goal Hour with Jared
Oh,
Johnston
wait.
alongside Camilo Yepes. This is going to be a fantastic episode.
What's up, folks? Just really quickly, gonna say the date of the recording because some of the international games have not yet happened. Most of
Hmm.
the international games have not yet happened. Is March 23rd, 2021. So if we don't talk about England beating some Slovenia 5-0, then that's because it hasn't happened yet. Even though England is not facing Slovenia, I assume.
Probably
I
not.
assume
Yeah.
they're not. Okay, yeah. They're
Yeah.
facing Poland and Albania and San Marino, powerhouse.
Hmm.
Okay, back to it. We're
Yeah.
starting off with Premier League, is that right?
Yeah, we'll go into Jesse Lingard's Hammers and among other teams as well. Yeah, I feel like that's just a go-to league we start out with. So, yeah, Premier
Because
League
it's,
we
yeah.
go for this goal hour. We'll get it started.
So, let's just start with the table right now. Man City, 71 points. They do have a game in hand against everyone else, except Fulham.
You know what I
And
hated
then,
though, real quick?
yeah, go for it.
Pundits when Man United gave up the lead and they were like 2 points behind that said Man United still had a chance. And we were saying it all along that they don't have a chance, that they don't. Slabhead isn't good enough, and he wasn't good enough, and he won't ever be good enough. Because now they're sitting behind. They have a game in hand. Now they're 14 points behind. They're just they don't have that quality. I don't care if they get to the Champions League, they're going to lose in the group stages again. But go ahead, go
Man City, trash.
on.
Trash can team.
Mhm.
No, it's just a trash can with a bunch of glitter and money thrown at it.
You're saying the
Let's be
badge is
honest.
trash, but the actual substance of the club is fantastic.
Yeah, this new Man City badge represents trash. That old Man City badge, that was respectable.
Mhm.
Because that was not a team that was all just money. No culture. No history. Their history just contains them being beaten by Man United. You see, they changed their badge already because they knew that their history was gone. Now let's just talk about Leicester for a bit.
Oh yeah.
Leicester have been doing bits.
Yes.
Still, they've last 5 games they've taken, let's see, 10 points out of a possible 15 points.
Mhm.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That was quick math, by the way, everyone. So, I mean, they could have done better, but that's they've been one of the best teams so far. Better teams so far.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I was going to single out one player, we've talked about it on the last episode, episode 2, which was kind of a pretense to Kelechi Iheanacho when he had just gotten some game time. And now Brendan Rodgers has started him as a front two with Jamie Vardy, and yeah, it's been outstanding. I've been telling my friends up here in Syracuse, Camilla, that you predicted it. I mean, you
I
spoke it
did.
into existence. You said that Kelechi, the big senior man, as they call him in Leicestershire, is going to do bits. And the Man City Academy product is not just doing bits in the league, but also for my fantasy team after I picked him up. He's been outstanding. He scored his first Premier League hat trick against Sheffield on the weekend, and he's just been outstanding. You think about that Leicester team, who are the top 3 players you think of? Jamie Vardy, maybe Kasper Schmeichel, but really if you're thinking of attackers, it's Harvey Barnes and James Madison. Those latter two are out now, and Kelechi Iheanacho has picked the slack. And of course, when I talk about Leicester, I always give Yuri Tielemans a shout because he was outstanding in that last game. He also scored a goal. But Kelechi, I want to say he scored in like his last 5 games. I want to say he has more goals than games, if I'm correct. Because he's been outstanding.
No idea.
He scored in his last 3 Premier League appearances. Yuri scored in the last 2 of 4. But in total, he has about 5 goals in his last 4 appearances, and he's been outstanding. And when you look at the table for Leicester, at 56 points, and then West Ham only 7 points behind, and they're even at games. Without those performances from Kelechi, they wouldn't still be in that position. They have the injury still. Harvey Barnes is going to be long term. He's probably going to be out the rest of the season. James Maddison is undisclosed. We don't really know. So, like, assuming that he's going to be out the rest of the season, you look at this Leicester side and you still think, okay, they have the quality. They can go out and do something. They do play a strong Man City side in their next game. They do play West Ham, which will be a huge result to get. But then they'll close out their season against Southampton, Newcastle, Palace, that they can get wins against. Southampton again. And then City, Chelsea, and Tottenham. So there are results that they can get and stay in the top 4, and I do believe they can do it because of Kelechi Iheanacho.
Finally happening.
Yeah, the big senior man's getting the job done, and I just love watching it now, though. It's fantastic because Leicester's always been the team that's been able to solve their problems organically without trying to shovel money at players. You look at selling Harry Maguire for 80 million, they buy Wesley Fofana for 30 million pounds. They fund their new training facility for the entire price tag of Harry Maguire. It's just outstanding what that group has done, especially with the passing of their owner in the last season from Thailand. And they've done a fantastic job honoring it with the sponsorship of Thailand Smiles at You, which is the national tourism branding for Thailand. And yeah, basically really honoring their ownership and their fans that aren't allowed to go, as is any club really, but they just missed out last season getting into the Europa League. They were in 5th place on the final day after losing to Man United. So like to be in this position, the Champions League is great for their fans and great for the team they have and the project they're trying to build at Leicester.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's all about, for them, the youth, or as my British compatriots would say, the youths. No, I mean, these are young academy players that now that the actual Leicester, like, financially they've been bolstered. These kids, now have better training grounds, better, like, anything, just everything to develop.
Oh, and yeah,
better coaches, I assume, as well.
If you look at the main products of that, if you give a real quick shout to James, Justin, and Luke Thomas, who Justin actually burst onto the scene like Micah Richards and did a fantastic job at center back and right back and left back. Castagna has also been a great addition to that squad from Atalanta, but yeah, James Justin tore his ACL as Ricardo Pereira was coming back, one of their right backs that also tore his ACL, so unfortunate that had to happen, but Justin said that he's been guided through by Pereira, the process, and he feels comfort with it. He was one of their young guys that's got injured, but he was outstanding on the season, and then Luke Thomas has been a great fill-in at left back, another academy product, so yeah, just 2 players that are great examples of that Leicester project that's going to be continually built on. And when I was talking about how they needed a striker, I mean, if Kelechi continues this form to the end of the season, you were right about them finding one.
I know. I'm kind of a genius. No, but honestly, I think Kelechi, he's aging not like a fine wine, but he's aging more like a like cheese. He's now becoming a little more like brie, a little more. He's not completely blue. He's not like blue cheese. He's not disgusting to most people. But he's not like some old cheap cheese that's barely been I'm not sure what the word is, but he's barely been like exposed to oxygen or whatever. But he's in the middle there.
Aged.
He's aged.
Technically,
Thank
yes.
you. He's barely been aged. He's being aged now. He's like 25, 24.
Yeah,
and
24
now
years
he's
old.
really coming to it. Now he's having better form. Now he's showing his quality. I guess kind of similar to Jamie Vardy, how he kind of came up in the ranks of the lower leagues.
Well, yeah, because obviously he was playing for the youth academies and the youth teams for Man City. Didn't get the chance, and so it was all about a waiting game. You think of Vardy in the similar situation, but Vardy only got his chance 4 years after Kelechi. So I mean, great to see how that kind of goes full circle with Kelechi and Vardy playing in that front too. But yeah, absolutely, it's just a great story for him.
I mean, I think I have the ideas, and Jared just translate it. I think that's all this podcast is. No, let's talk about actually Crystal Palace have been in surprisingly good form recently.
Yeah.
Was it Crystal Palace?
Which team you talk? Palace right now is in 12th place, but they do have some bright young talents.
They've been in. I didn't expect them to like. They've won 2 games and I think drawn 2 games.
Well, yeah, were you expecting them to be in the relegation zone or something?
To be honest, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I expected them to be bottom 6. I expected them to be where Burnley is now.
Well, you know why that was? Is because they were the worst goal-scoring team in the league last season. But they were better defensively, so they were able to maintain their position. I want to say they were in 15th or something like that. Now they're in 12th, which like isn't great, but for like the team that they have and the funding at the same time, it's really good for them. One of their main guys, that's like a young guy that's been fantastic, is Eberiche Eze. In the midfield has been outstanding behind Zaha.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, Andrews.
I've heard of him.
I mean, if you talk about a comeback for Crystal Palace, you can look at Andros Townsend's hairline, which has also made a comeback with a hair transplant. But yeah, that's huge for that, of course. Yeah, I do think they do have some good young players. Zaha is still like kind of aging, but at the same time, like Milikovic in the midfield with Townsend and Eze have been outstanding. Batshuayi is also up front on loan from Chelsea, and Vicente Guaita from Spain, who used to be a Valencia keeper, was also amazing in goal. So I think that's really helped them this season. Guaita was outstanding last season as well, but even though you say, oh, well, defense should help you win games as well, but like, yeah, the midfield has really catalyzed their offense and their ability to kind of be able to be a little bit more in control of games as far as being a mid-table team. So yeah, that's been huge for them.
Speaking of mid-table, I'm just going to go on to talk about Leeds for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Leeds have been playing actually pretty okay football.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in the relegation zone. They're not qualifying for Europe, but they're still in 11th. They are still in 11th, which is, I think, pretty big for them. A team that just got promoted. I think that's a huge thing.
Yeah, it was like a situation where obviously they've been a huge, historically great powerhouse in England. None other to, but probably second to Nottingham Forest, who actually won the Champions League twice, but they're still in the Championship. But yeah, Leeds is also a powerhouse as far as domestic titles and things like that. I would say their fans did overhype them, saying that they were going to get into Europe this season. To be fair though, they have gotten pretty close. It's just with their system, they don't really have a consistency of results. When you look at teams that are up like in 7th and 6th, like Tottenham, they have 7 draws, 6 draws respectively. And then when you look at Leeds United, they only have 3 draws. That is actually by far the lowest in the league, aside from Sheffield United with 2. And what does that mean if you don't have as many draws, you're able to get results and steal results like that? It does hurt you in the long run because you're losing more games, because they've lost 14th, which is kind of where Southampton's at as well. And then Newcastle has 15 losses. But like, yeah, because of the way they play, trying to man mark and really trying to enforce their will on the other side defensively and press and exert their energy. If they do allow goals, they do exert a lot of energy trying to get those goals back. So it's really just a goal scoring. It's really just a goal scoring battle back and forth. So when they do have results, it's often like going, if they are in a close game, it's going to go one way or the other. It's not going to be a tie because of the way they play. So 39 points, yeah, that's good for them. Would they be much better if they did try to like hold on to draws or try to play conservatively? We probably wouldn't know because they've worked well with this system. It's gone into the Prem. But yeah, I mean, even through that hardship of not necessarily holding on to draws and having a lot of losses and getting your goals at, maybe allowing a lot more goals than you should be. They're at 47 goals. They've scored 45, so they've had to try to outscore the opponent. But yeah, solid. I would say that the main player I'd like to watch with Leeds is Ilon Meslier, the French goalkeeper out of Lorient.
Yes.
I want to say Lorient or Montpellier. I believe it was Lorient that he played with, or Lorient. But he's been outstanding because he's been forced to make so many saves. And what I've seen from Leeds fans is that he does make mistakes of himself as far as distribution out of the back. But when he is called upon, even though he's just a lanky, skinny keeper out of France and not the biggest guy, he does know how to be strong fundamentally, and he's been outstanding for them making saves. And I do think he's a future French number one. And I mean, if you think about his trajectory, what about Hugo Lloris? Skinny, lanky guy
Hugo Lloris
out of France, who also transferred to the Premier League to Tottenham, of course. So I mean, I just think it's cool to see how that comes full circle as well. As I've said, full circle like 10 minutes ago. But yeah, Ilon Meslier I think he's been fantastic for Leeds. You can talk about Patrick Bamford. You can talk about Rafinha, who's been outstanding as well in the attacking midfield role. But I do think Meslier is one of those guys to watch for Leeds in the future as they look to continue to build upon this season.
He's a very exciting young prospect.
Mm-hmm.
I myself am a big fan of his work. Made a few good saves, and no, I definitely think he will be the I think once Hugo Lloris loses that spot, it's gonna go to Meslier.
Yeah, he's only 20 years old, so I mean that's what's crazy about it. To be playing the Premier League, it's an outstanding achievement.
And he's a goalkeeper as well. That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
A 21-year-old goalkeeper it's rare. It's how old is Donnarumma?
Donnarumma is probably around 24. I want
you.
to say. I can look it up right now. He
is
22 years old.
I think those two are the youngest, most talented goalkeepers I can think of that like are starting in big teams, quote unquote big teams.
Mm-hmm.
Leeds isn't necessarily a big team, but that's besides the point. Those two keepers are probably the most exciting young goalkeepers I can see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'll be the Neuer levels.
Yeah.
Manuel Neuer levels, but I mean they could. They could reach that level.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, let me go on my little Spurs rant for right now. Spurs. You're attacking. You make a goal. You make a Rabona against Arsenal. A Rabona.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about that.
Lamela makes a Rabona against Arsenal because he's too busy not using his right foot because he doesn't know how to use a right foot. He's never made like a pass this season with his right foot or something like that. That's what I heard.
He uses his outside of his left foot.
He's insanely. He makes a Rabona and then he gets a red card.
Yeah, if I could jump in on your rant real quick, what I say is what's crazy about Lamela is he's such a talented player based on the fact that he is gifted with his left foot, but at the same time I think his best asset is his work rate and his passion, which I sometimes think hurts him, which it obviously did for that red card. And I mean, if you think of like flaws like that, I think every Spurs player on that team has a flaw that they aren't really able to help and contribute collectively to fixing. So yeah, I mean, Eric Lamela is one of the main flaws if you look at that last game. You're talking about the Reds, so yeah.
Eric Lamela, what are you doing? What are you playing at? Let's talk about someone else. Who else? Okay, Son got injured. Saddest
Musa
thing
was
I've
not
ever seen.
playing well, is what I heard.
Oh, no. So, did you see that Sissoko pass?
I didn't see it, no.
Did you see? He passed it right to an Arsenal player. It was disgustingly horrible. I was angry. I looked at my TV screen and I yelled, "You idiot!
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?" I should have been. I felt like Mourinho right there. I mean, I'm not sure Mourinho says he's been telling the players to press. He's been telling the players keep going, but apparently they weren't going. I'm not sure who to believe. I'm not sure if Mourinho's trying to protect himself or what, but we got scored upon by Odegaard and Lacazette. I mean, really? They didn't even play Aubameyang, whoever, Obama. They didn't play him, but they still won 2-1. Excuse me. I mean, it's infuriating. That's their star player. That's their Harry Kane, and they didn't even need him to beat us.
Yeah, I'm sure that's...
But at least we won against Aston Villa. We did do an okay performance against Aston Villa that I did watch and I did enjoy. I mean, I think Mourinho's actually been experimenting, and it's very interesting. Like, the way he played Kane and Vinicius up front. He did a 4-4-2, which I've rarely seen from Mourinho. And I read, he said in an interview after the game that he wanted to play younger players who had passion, who would play hard, and who felt angry that they lost those last two games. They'd keep playing hard. And that's why he put on Rodona and Tanganga. And I assume that's why he put on Dane Scarlett on the bench. But, I mean, you saw a lot from those players. You even saw Big Dav committing and playing well. Saw Tanganga playing well. And I think Mourinho needs to use more of these younger players because he has some very raw and good talent in his squad, in the youth, that he's not taking advantage of. Especially JT. The boy has been playing well, been fighting for a spot. He has the likes of Aurier and who else is it that to compete with? Aurier and Doherty. Yeah, he has Aurier and Doherty that he has to compete with for that right back position. And I mean, for me, played 3 games or something, I'm not sure. For me, he's been probably the best in that spot consistently. He made a few mistakes against West Ham. That's what I heard. I didn't watch the West Ham game.
JT?
But, yeah.
What's his last name?
Big Jaffet Tanganga.
Oh. I was I know Big Jeff.
I called the boy JT.
I know Big Jeff. Because I think of JT and I think John Terry, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. No, Big Jeff didn't cheat on someone's wife. Or whatever. But also, Mourinho's been playing Lucas more in the middle, and Lucas has been liking that position, which I've found to be very interesting. But
what do you think his biggest asset is playing through the middle?
Lucas really likes it just because he can kind of do what he does on both wings. Like he's more free. So he can play in the middle, he can play. But I think right now it's been very useful because he's been in these good positions to get the ball, pass it up.
Yeah, and I would say, I was going to ask you what you thought, because I think that his biggest asset was his pressing off the ball. You saw that goal that he got against Crystal Palace. He won the ball back, got it to Bale and Kane. Like, I think that's huge for them going forward because he's one of those guys that seems to be inspired to keep that up that work rate and maintain that energy. So I think that's huge for them. I think
I
he's
mean,
done a great job.
I feel like you could see that in his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
You saw that last year in the last season in the Champions League
Mm-hmm.
with his hat trick against, was it Ajax?
Yep.
I mean, he plays with a lot of work rate. He keeps going. He keeps going. He's like a little hamster on his wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Carlos Vinicius scored his first Premier League goal, which was big news for Spurs. It was a tap in, but it was a first goal. So good for him.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Davinson was very good in the back. I already said that, did I not?
Yep. It's worth a second
Well, I
mention.
was surprised. No, I was surprised by Davinson's by how he played.
Mm-hmm.
Because he usually needs to play next to a more experienced center back like Toby Alderweireld, but he was playing next to Joe Rodon, and he played very well. So I was surprised by that. Højbjerg, don't really need to mention.
Mm-hmm.
He's played the full 90 minutes.
For the entire
Played
season.
very well. Entire season.
Yeah, he hasn't missed a minute.
It's impressive. It's very impressive how this guy can keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But I did point that out, so he'll probably get injured or something next game.
That's what they call him, the Viking, for.
Viking, yeah. I mean, you saw it in the FA Cup as well. He tweeted that guy saying, "Hey, it's fine that I know you didn't mean to try and hurt me." Very nice guy, very nice lad. I think Aston Villa just really missed out with that. They didn't have Jack Grealish there to help them out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say that was entirely just Tottenham being super good. But it's redeeming, and I think it'll help morale at the club.
Yeah, that's.
Now, I
mean,
do want to talk about... It was a promising display.
Yeah.
That's what I'll call it. It wasn't a world-class display, but... Man United have been in pretty alright form with their FA Cup win against... No, their FA Cup loss, actually. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
They lost in the FA Cup.
Yeah, they lost to
against Leicester City.
Yuri Tielemans and Kelechi Iheanacho both notched the goal in that result. Fantastic players.
Which was very good. Also Mason Greenwood. But I think the biggest problem for Man United that game was Ollie played both Tellez and Van de Beek, both in the same game, and these are two players who barely play.
Mm-hmm. Good players, but they haven't played in a while.
And Matic, actually.
Yeah.
Has Matic played in a while either?
He's preferred Fred and McTominay over Pogba and Matic lately. He's been his preferred picks for the past weeks.
And Lindelof as well.
Mm-hmm.
Has he played Lindelof? Or
they've kind of gone in between Lindelof and Bailly, so that's variable. Lindelof has had enough game time to be fresh.
All right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Van de Beek and Tellez, I don't think it was smart to start both of them in the same game.
Mm-hmm.
But I am curious. Where's Jamie Vardy been?
I mean,
has he been scoring?
Yeah, he hasn't been scoring. He actually has not gotten a goal. I want to say that he didn't score against... Yeah, he didn't score against Sheffield. But I'll tell you what, if you were watching those games, like, you would not be dissatisfied with the way Jamie Vardy has been playing. He did come off a hernia injury that he sat out for 2 weeks after a surgery, came right back. He was fresh and fine. And then they lost to Arsenal, obviously. I'm looking up to see when his last goal was, because it's been... Like, if we're not counting all competitions, his last goal was February 13th against Liverpool in that win. So it's been over a month since he scored in the Premier League, but he hasn't been bad, per se. He's been creating chances because, again, when I'm talking about two forwards in front that like to lead a press, Kelechi and Jamie's always the guy that's been relentless on the press. He's never gives up. He's just has that work rate. and he's taught Kelechi to do the same thing. So both of those guys are creating chances off the press. That's something that's hugely important. That's not usually accounted for statistically. And when he does, and one of the main things also off the ball is when he's making those runs to free up and create space for Kelechi, who's not going to be double marked because he doesn't have that reputation. And it just so happens that Kelechi has had the poise to say, I'm going to be the guy that can get us on the board. I'm going to have that confidence. I'm going to help Jamie out and be that guy. And that's what's happened for Leicester. And no, not at all. It's not the case that Jamie has been bad. He's actually been the outstanding player he's always been, because he's never really had like a cold streak. Even when he doesn't score, he's never playing bad. He's always creating something. His movement is always providing something to the team, and his pressing is always relentless. So, if anything, that's contributed more to the results they've been getting with Kelechi stepping up. And when Kelechi maybe only gets one goal or doesn't score, Yuri's been stepping up from the midfield. Their outside backs have been outstanding. Ricky P also, who's come back into the lineup after his injury, has been outstanding. So, yeah, just basically, if you think about Leicester City, yeah, you think about Jamie Vardy as the one guy, but when you think about the way their club operates, it's all for one, pretty much, or
one for all,
or one for all, not all for one. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
No.
But all for the badge.
I suspected that. Because Jamie Vardy, he hasn't been playing in that second striker position. I assume he has, but the Leicester sort of have two strikers playing as like first strikers who press. You don't often see that, which is something very good, because you have two very high class, highly rated strikers on that team. I mean, they've got good finishing, they've got good everything.
Yeah.
I also think a big problem Man United had that game was they sat out De Gea. De Gea sat out of that one. I was surprised by. I don't know. Like, starting Pogba on the wing as well doesn't really work out well.
Yeah, he's done that in the Prem, like when he wanted to fit in. Sometimes he played a 4-4-2, and he had Bruno in with Fred and McTominay on the right and then Pogba on the left, which made no sense to me at all. So, like, yeah, he's done it before, but it's not really ideal. And it doesn't usually work.
People are acting like Pogba's finished. Like, oh, he's so bad now. What's going on with Pogba? No, he's a World Cup winner. He's still very good. I think the problem is that he hasn't been played in the right system. I watched a video on this, and I cannot credit who made the video. I'm so sorry, because I don't remember who made the video.
You're big on these videos, though, right? I know who the video guy is. Yeah.
Yeah. They were talking about how Pogba doesn't work. Like, he needs to work in a specific system. Like, he was playing in Juve. He was playing great in Juve. And then he moves back to Man United and he's doing horrible. It's not because now he's a bad player because he's in Man United. It's because of the system he's playing in. And I think that's the biggest problem with Pogba right now. Like, even in France, he plays very well because he's in the right system.
You see, that's interesting to get into, because I've never been a huge Pogba fan. And I always look at it from the perspective that people call him world class. He should be able to adapt to a system. He should be able to chip in, unless it's like such dire straits, which I would argue that the United situation hasn't really been ideal for him. I'd give him that. But I think if he's a world-class player, then he should be making world-class plays. If he's a center midfielder, he should be great on both sides of the ball, which he's not. He's often lazy. He doesn't give in for the full 90 minutes. And the only time he's remembered is when he scores some crazy goals, like the Worldie against Fulham and the screamer for Juventus, sliced across the outside of the foot. But that's just my perspective. In the end, he has won the World Cup, like you said. He's still an amazing player. He's able to play in that midfielder.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like sometimes he's kind of marketed to what he's not supposed to be. Because like, he's not Bruno Fernandes. He's not he's a creative player, but he's not supposed to be in the creative midfield role behind the strikers. He's supposed to kind of hold up the ball, he's supposed to have the freedom to join the attack and also to possess the ball. So I sometimes feel like when people call him world class, I think it's not right because he doesn't really perform unless he's in a perfect system. And I think if you're a world class player, you should be able to adapt. But then at the same time, look at
Oh,
Ronaldo. And Juventus isn't doing
oh,
well, but yeah, great player though. Still, I've just never been big on that, and obviously the Man United situation isn't ideal for him.
mm-hmm. I'll give you one rebuttal, and then we can go on to talking about the FA Cup, and then we'll finish up this whole England talk.
Oh yeah,
The one rebuttal I have for you with Pogba is there are many world-class players that are just in subpar teams, and those teams adapt to those players.
hmm
So I feel like you can still be a world-class player. You just really, if you can't adapt, you need to move to a team that is either fitted slash suited for your system, like your perfect system of play, or just a weaker team that can adapt around you.
so you could say João
Uh,
Felix, world class talent.
yeah, not even like João Felix, like what's his name in Crystal Palace,
Wilfred Zaha.
Wilfred Zaha. He's not exactly world class, but he's like the closest comparison I can think of in my head. He's a very good player who should be in like the top six or playing for like a top six club.
hmm
Not a big six club, a top six club. But he's not. He's playing for Crystal Palace because, like I feel like the system suited around him or is suited around him in a way
Well, he was an
that
academy
makes him feel
product.
comfortable.
Yeah, he was an academy
He's an
product,
academy product.
and their project was to build around him, and obviously
Yeah.
they haven't been able to succeed with it, but they haven't done bad things. So I mean, he did sign a long-term contract, and his price was way too high for him to leave, so he's kind of been stuck there. I'm assuming when he does leave, he'll get a chance to go somewhere with a little bit of a better reputation. I don't know what he does with it though.
Yeah, but like that's my closest comparison, I guess.
hmm
But now, let's just talk about the FA Cup because we've been going on a little while about the Premier
Yeah,
League.
I mean, if we could give a
Yeah,
quick
it's
shout
okay.
to West Ham though, who's in
Oh
fifth
yeah,
place,
you're right.
just behind Chelsea. They have 49 points. They're 1 point above Tottenham. They look like they could still get European Cup competition, which is great after finishing 17th last season. And Jesse Lingard's just a great guy to watch, to watch pretty much. And we love talking about that resurgences of careers like John Stones. Jesse's among them as well. But he's actually got
Very
called up to
something.
the England squad, like I mentioned in the beginning of the episode. So we'll talk about that when we get into the international duties. Which league you want to go on to next, Camilo? Because I mean, plenty of action in La Liga, Serie A. We got everything.
I
Really.
just wanted to, I want to say one really quick thing about the FA Cup, and then we can go on about that.
All right.
Two really quick things. Number one, Everton losing against Man City. I watched a little bit of that game, pretty boring game.
Mhm.
Last 10 minutes, you get two goals from Gundeon
Gundogan.
and
Yeah.
Gundeon, Gundewa,
Yeah.
and Kevin De Bruyne,
Mhm.
KDB and Gundewa, whatever. They both scored some pretty good goals,
Yeah.
which gave you so you have that.
Mhm.
Secondly, would you say that a quarterfinal finish for a championship club is a cup run?
I mean, for
Quote,
Bournemouth,
unquote?
yeah, for Bournemouth, they do get paid. Do get paid for qualifying,
I
and they
mean,
get the
yeah.
TV revenue. So, yeah, I think it's a good run. But at the same time, like Bournemouth, as far as their trajectory and the payroll that they have for being such a small club with their small facilities, they have this obviously, but they're going to focus on getting promoted as well. That's for sure.
Yeah, but happy for Bournemouth. I hope they get promoted.
Mhm.
Good team, like them. People were probably surprised by Man City or Man United losing,
Yeah.
but I wasn't really.
Well, yeah, I'm not
I
either
assume
at
you
all.
weren't either.
Mm.
Now let's move on to Ligue 1.
Yeah, sure.
All right. You start off. I'm gonna close my door really quickly.
Yeah, so I
'Cause
mean,
someone opened it.
last time we got to it, pretty much, we were talking about Liga in the last episode. Leo was ahead in the league by like 5 point margin, and it was Leo, Leon. Monaco was like kind of sniffing up there, and PSG was in third. Now we go back maybe like weeks later, and PSG is tied for the league lead, but they're tied on goals differential because, of course, PSG loves scoring goals. 46 goals differential plus 46 versus Leo's 31, Leon's 29, Monaco's 22. So, like, the league is still very close. And really, when you look at it, Leo and Leon could have had chances to get ahead because PSG had won 3 of their last 5, taking 9 points. Leo's taken 8 points. They've drawn twice. They could have taken wins, hopped ahead of PSG. Lyon has the same record in the last 5 games as Leo, 3 points behind Leo at 60 points. So again, this French league is still competitive. Monaco is also looking to get European Cup glory. Then Lens and Marseille are in 5th and 6th spots. So it's still very tight, and it's great to see all these new names kind of pop up, or old names in some respects, with Monaco nostalgically getting to the Champions League final. It's just great to see all these teams kind of get close to each other because Ligue is notoriously known as a farmers league that doesn't have competitiveness. But these teams are really challenging the narrative and challenging PSG as well.
Yeah, I mean, they've even like Monaco getting near that 4th place finish, which would be Europa League, or would it be European Cup?
I want to say that
One or the other.
I want to say that it's Champions League, but I'm not sure if they go to a qualifying stage or not for France.
Oh, actually, you might be right. I thought I thought they changed it due to the new European competition.
Yeah, it could.
But we'll have to see. No, but
yeah, 4th
I
place
do
is
see
the
some...
Europa League group stage. 3rd place
Oh,
is the
right,
qualifiers.
right.
So for a team like Lyon in 3rd place, they would probably be able to get through to the Champions League by qualifying.
And then I assume 5th place would be like that European competition.
5th and 6th would probably go in, I would assume. Not sure though.
So, no, but like even is it Lille or Lyon that have those really good new like young prospects? Who's that striker?
Well, Lille has Tim Wei
American
from Tim Wei, whose father is actually the president of Liberia. Fun fact.
President of Liberia.
Yeah, Liberia.
Very nice
George
nation
Weah.
in Africa.
He played for PSG. Yeah, he was one.
The president of the country of Liberia.
Yeah, he was a very good. Player. But then he ended up actually running for president, and he got that in Liberia. Liberia, of course, has some ties to the United States, which is why his son was born in the United States and has chosen United States citizenship.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool to see how it's kind of interesting that George Weah chose to become the president of Liberia. But yeah, that's his son is playing for Lille, and they're challenging for first in the league pretty much.
No, yeah, Lille. Looks like this year they're obviously gonna get to Champions League, but how about? I mean, I'm excited for them. I hope they can possibly beat PSG, but I also kind of hope PSG win again for Pochettino's sake. Actually, no, I don't, because Pochettino already won a trophy. No, but I hope Lille can overcome the odds and beat PSG. And also, are they still in that the cup, the French Cup, or no?
PSG or Lille?
Just the French Cup in general. Is it still going on?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But
well,
yeah, if you go back to yeah, while you look for that, I'll go to George Weah's presidency. Yeah, he was elected by Liberia, which is a constitutional republic. It was actually a colony of the United States until 1847.
Yeah, that's right.
By the American Colonization Society, because America formally didn't have colonies because they liked to think that they were the good guys and going away from Britain and stuff. But yeah, America had colonies, and obviously they have
Like
their
the
air force.
Philippines?
Yeah, they have their air force bases on every single country in the world. So yeah,
Okay, that's too political. Too
yeah.
political.
But I'm saying that
Well-
that's one of the effects of it. In Liberia, and a positive effect was formed by the founded kind of similar to the U.S. government, and as a result, George Weah was lawfully elected as a Liberian citizen and was able to become president. His son doing bits for Lille and the United States, because I don't know if Liberia has a very good, is probably as big as San Marino as far as soccer history, so that's why he chose the United States.
Yeah. As the kid's doing bits in Lille, his father's doing bits in the cabinet of Liberia.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, the Coupe de France.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's round of 16. It's still going on. PSG knocked out Ligue.
3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough result for them.
Unfortunate. And you still have like unknown teams like I can't pronounce either of these teams. Le Pew F43 Avergen. Ask your brother. I don't know. No, but like you have still have some unknown teams in the cup. A lot of unknown teams in the cup, really.
Yeah, from the second division.
Yeah, from the second division, and I assume the third division.
Oh, Le Peu.
But
For F43 Avignon.
Sedan.
Angers. Olympique Saumur. Toulouse. Caen. Roussillon.
That's in the
Boulogne.
Coupe de France.
Yeah.
Or the French Cup,
Mm-hmm.
as me and my fellow Americans would say. Obviously Ligue 1 isn't looking too competitive. You unfortunately have Nantes looking like they're gonna get relegated.
Mm-hmm.
Good team though. They've been in okay form recently. Okay form, I want to say.
Yeah.
But they're a historic club. They have 8 French champion. They've been champions of France 8 times. They've won the French Cup 3 times. So
You know what's awful about the bottom of the Ligue is Dijon is last in the league, having lost their last 5 games. They only have 15 points, and they're the Sheffield United of the French league, and that's where Dijon Mustard is from. So they will probably get relegated. But yeah, other than that, plenty of teams that are sticking around, and plenty of teams that are sniffing French glory at the top of the table. Looks like PSG could pull away, because obviously they have the quality to do so. But when you look at Lille, they've been able to get results with 9 draws, 3 losses, whereas PSG has 3 draws and 7 losses. So Lille knows how to hang on to the points. I feel like they're the team that will stick with it. Lyon might fall off and might stay in that 3rd position. But we'll see how the league ends up unfolding in that respect.
very exciting stuff.
Yeah. So if you want to keep it in Europe, we're going to keep it in Europe. I mean, if you want to go real quick to Liga Nos, or do you want to go to like Serie A or something like that?
I already got Serie A pulled up
I bet.
on this, so let's just push over there.
Probably one of the
Now
most
in
entertaining
little-
leagues, that's for sure.
Now we're in Italy. So let's get some pizza, as Jared was telling me,
Yes, sir.
about some very nice restaurants
Mhm.
that I could go to in the Tampa Bay area, which is where we're from.
Yep.
You have Juve, no longer really looking like they're gonna get that skid out of this year. Because they've played how many games already? 27,
Believe they have.
and they're 10 points down with 27 games. So it's
there's
still
38
possible.
matches, so Milan has a game in hand. Inter Milan has a game in hand to Milan, but Juventus is even in games, so they have 11 games to play. But there's a 10-point gap.
Crazier things have happened, but I don't see Inter letting up soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
I could see AC Milan, actually start winning stuff and maybe go up.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I'm feeling like it's probably just gonna be a Inter win for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great for the Italian game, that's for sure. No one likes
Because
seeing 9
when you
straight
really think about
Juventus
it,
Scudettos, though, right?
yeah, when you really think about it, Serie A is a lot like Ligue 1. People just don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not as competitive.
Yeah.
Unfortunately though, well, actually no, fortunately, excuse me, Atalanta,
Mm-hmm.
looking like they're gonna get that Champions League spot.
Yeah, they've always
At
started out
least.
terribly at the beginning of seasons so far. Like in all of their
Yeah,
Serie A campaigns, and they always pick it up at the end. Which now,
it's surprising. It's
yeah, now
surprising.
that they got eliminated, it gives them time to focus on securing that position and getting that revenue from it as well, which is huge for their growth.
It's a good thing, and then you have Napoli looking like they're gonna get Napoli and Roma,
Mm-hmm.
all both looking like they're gonna, and Lazio
Yeah.
looking like they're gonna fight it out for the the Europa Conference and the Europa League.
Mm-hmm.
Now if we go to the bottom of the table, you're gonna see something really sad, something really really sad. Everyone, try and hold back your tears. We have Parma in 19th place. Now, Faustino Asprilla would be crying right now looking at this. Parma are in 19th place, looking like they're going to get relegated, only have 19 points with 3 wins this season.
Do you know what I think's more devastating?
Let me know.
That Gervinho still plays for Parma. What a legend. And they're going to get relegated.
I mean, it's really unfortunate, and he still plays there after they nearly went bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to, what league was it? How far down the leagues did they go?
So when you get bankrupt, you do have to start in the non-league tier. It depends if you don't go bankrupt and you do get penalties, you might get relegated to like the Serie B or the Serie C or maybe like the Serie D. But if you go bankrupt completely, like Bury did, and they had to dissolve and declare administration in England, they went from the 3rd tier of English football down to the 10th tier of non-league, and they've made it back up to the 5th tier, which is one below the 4th tier, which is actual full professional football, which is outstanding achievement for them. But yeah, I don't know how far Parma went down, but I assume they went down at least 2, 3, or 4 divisions. But if they didn't go completely bankrupt, they wouldn't have had to dissolve the club entirely.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. It was something really unfortunate. Now they're looking like a shadow of their former selves. Not really competing as much in those bigger competitions. 2014, 2015, I think was when they got relegated.
Mm-hmm.
And they were Serie D in 2015, 2016. Obviously winning that and getting promoted to Serie C.
Mm-hmm.
That's besides the point. Serie A is looking a lot more competitive this year as well, which is, when you think about it, COVID has really negatively affected football, but it's made at least 2 leagues more competitive. At least 2 leagues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and even just watching Serie A, a lot of the time I sit down, I watch a Fiorentina game, and I'm like, right, that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these teams are teams where players develop. Good, like South American, Colombian specifically, players develop. Not even some Europeans as well.
Yeah.
And it's also where a lot of good European players go before retiring or before going to a retirement league like the MLS or the Chinese league.
Pedro with Roma in 6th place now has been outstanding on the wings after leaving Chelsea.
Yeah, and you have Ronaldo. I guess you could say he's retiring in Italy if you really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
No, but a lot of these teams have older players that are still doing bits, especially Inter, actually. Especially Inter.
Mm-hmm.
thinking with what's that? Who's that? Uruguayan flop, I think. Was he Uruguayan? No, Chilean flop
For which team?
for like Arsenal.
Oh,
For
Alexis
Arsenal or
Sanchez.
yeah,
Barcelona,
Alexis Sanchez.
amazing at
Doing
Arsenal.
pretty
He
good.
was a flop at Manchester United. And
That's what it was. Thank you.
yeah, and then what happened
Now
after
he's
that
doing
was
all right.
yeah. Then after Arsenal
Inter.
sold him, they got Mkhitaryan from Dortmund, and then they sold him to United, and then Mkhitaryan went from United to Roma. So big
There you
trajectory
go.
from that transfer.
Yeah, I hope AC Milan win this one, but it's not looking like it. Um, Either way, do you have anything else to say about Italy?
No, not really. Just that, of course, it's amazing to see how all the European competitions are being challenged for. I think it's great to see that competitiveness. Even if Atalanta wasn't up there, be rooting for the rest of the teams like Roma and Lazio. But yeah, as far as my allegiance is to Atalanta, it's huge to see them get there. I don't think that AC Milan will challenge Inter. I think Inter's got it in the bag. As far as Juventus, they have the quality to retain form, so I think they will keep a Champions League spot. I think the biggest question is the fourth place spot, with Napoli 2 points behind Atalanta with a game in hand, and then Roma 5 points behind, even in games. I don't think Lazio comes back from it. I think they could maybe steal a Europa League spot, maybe not. They could be the odd man out. But yeah, I think that fourth place spot is something to look for. I think Atalanta can continue their fine form, but that's probably the most competitive part of it. But yeah, just great to see the growth of Italian
Yeah,
soccer. It's on ESPN in the United States. That's one of the premier television spots to get broadcasted from, along with the Bundesliga in the same way.
not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored at all, of course. But yeah, they're able to have a platform to be broadcast nationally, and the quality of the league has grown. And I do believe it's one of the powerhouses. I enjoy watching it. All of the new, fresh tactics that have come in. And again, when I mentioned the Bundesliga, I guess that's a perfect bridge into it if you want to get right to it. I remember you
One
mentioning.
more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I still believe in the Coppa Italia.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be the final. Is gonna be who's the final gonna be? What was it? Napoli? No, it was
Last season it was Napoli and Juventus, and Napoli won
and
in
now
penalties.
now I think it's looking like it's gonna be Atalanta versus Juventus. Surprising. Wow. Yeah, so that was a big thing there. I think we've already spoken about this. I want to mention again, Atalanta are in the Coppa Italia final,
Yeah, that would be one of their
which is very
first
exciting.
main pieces of silverware. Actually, their youth team, their U18 team, won the U18 Coppa Italia, so it would be kind of cool to see them win it with the senior team as well. I do think they have the quality to do it, and I would love to see them get some silverware. Because not only would they get the payout, it's just great to have something in the trophy cabinet for such a fairy tale rise that they've
I
had.
wouldn't know anything about that as a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
Were you done there? I just want to say one thing about Spurs really quickly.
All right. Yeah, we're going to go into the Bundesliga next after that.
Yeah. So, people genuinely don't know Spurs actually have trophies. Spurs actually have trophies, okay? I want to say that. People are like, oh, your trophy cabinet's empty on Twitter. They don't realize Spurs actually have trophies. Alright, now to Bundesliga.
Yeah, I think the Audi Cup is one of them. It's pretty much like a community shield in some respects. But it is silverware. It's good warm
No,
ups
we
at the
have
start
a
of the
lot
season.
of FA Cups.
They do, just like 50 years ago. So that's something that people don't
No.
usually think about.
Like 12, no, not 12 years ago, but it's been a little while.
It's been a long time.
Okay,
at
the
White Hart Lane.
Bundesliga.
But yeah, Bundesliga.
Rest in peace.
Dortmund are in a little bit of a better position than they were when we were last looking at them. They had been lagging behind in 6th. Now they're in 5th place, which is good enough for an automatic Europa League spot. And 4th place, still trudging along, is Eintracht Frankfurt with Luka Jovic on loan back from Real Madrid. And then third place is Wolfsburg, which is outstanding to see a Kevin De Bruyne-less Wolfsburg. And when I say Kevin De Bruyne-less, it's worth mentioning that their key addition in the back line is American center back John Brooks, and that's helped them.
John Brooks.
Yeah, that's helped them to a plus 23 goals differential. And now
Love
they
that
have
guy.
51 points. It's just amazing to see. It's great to see in the Bundesliga.
I want to mention I put him on my football manager team, and he was doing bits for a while there.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a year ago or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a very good player. I think he's very important to that back line for Wolfsburg. That's all I really know, is that he's just an important player on that team.
Yeah, when I think about what's crazy about the Bundesliga, which obviously it was always Dortmund and Bayern at the top, but now they're 2, 3, 4 is Leipzig, Wolfsburg, and Eintracht Frankfurt. And then usually, like historically in years past, it's been Bayern, Dortmund, Leverkusen, Mönchengladbach challenging Schalke when they had Raúl Jimenez, or Gonzalez rather. But now Mönchengladbach, who just got eliminated from the Champions League, is in 10th place. They are only 7 points back of 5th place, though, but still, that's a pretty substantial margin late in the season. Schalke is in 18th place, likely to be relegated, which they're at a minus 53 goals differential. They have 1 win on the season. They've added a lot of players, but it might be good for them to get relegated, try to figure out their identity and try to get some confidence and wins back. But they are not a staple in the league anymore. And then Leverkusen without Kai Havertz in 6th. So different teams kind of stepping up and filling that void in the top 4.
And you also got Berlin, the best Berlin side, I think it is.
The east side of Berlin, which historically is a quick little anecdote here, is interesting that Berlin is one of the only, it's probably in European soccer, the Bundesliga is the case where the capital city is not one of the powerhouse teams. Where you think of Italy, you might look at Rome, and they do have Roma and Lazio. And then you look at the Bundesliga and Berlin, they don't have anyone. But you look at Spain, they have Madrid and Atletico. Then you look at London, there's 6 clubs. It's outstanding to see.
Yeah.
But the Bundesliga doesn't really have that powerhouse team. And Hertha Berlin plays in Olympic Stadium in what was historically West Berlin, because that was the side that the Allied forces had. And so obviously that was more prosperous, and that's what the Olympic Stadium that hosted the Olympics and had more money. Meanwhile, on the east side, which was under Hitler's reign when Union Berlin was playing, and it was also still kind of established in financial ruin until the 70s, was Union Berlin on the east side. Their stadium is actually called Forest Stadium because it was built in a forest. And they didn't have any money to renovate their stadium, and they would have gone bankrupt. So in the summer of 2017, I want to say, their fans all created not even a GoFundMe, but it was a worksheet to sign up. And all the fans took out the seats, poured concrete, and they renovated the entire seating area of the stadiums, and they were ready to play in it. So if that doesn't tell you about the culture of Union Berlin and the fighting spirit that they have, I mean, you shouldn't be surprised that they're now in 7th place and kind of taking the reins as the lead man in Berlin, because Hertha's really been lagging behind. They're obviously a mid-table team, but in years past they've gotten closer and closer to the relegation zone. But Loris Karius is on Union Berlin, so I mean that's cool to see him kind of making a comeback for a little bit as well.
After that disastrous Champions League final.
Mm-hmm. So I do think it's undeserved, his ousting. I think it's good to see him getting a chance again to get his feet under himself.
What is he, on loan? Yeah, he's on loan. He's been banished the Bundesliga.
Yep.
Just like a Hoffenheim player, Ryan Sessegnon.
Mm-hmm.
I want to really quickly touch on him. Good guy. Great player. That's all I wanted to say. He could be a future England left back.
Mm-hmm.
Starter left back. Whatever. Is that all we really got on the Bundesliga?
Yeah, pretty much Dortmund has found a little bit of form, but they're not in great form. Bayern's just going to win the league again, even though they're only 4 points ahead of Leipzig. But yeah, I mean, it's still up for grabs. When we touch on it in later episodes, I'm sure we'll get into how the standings change. But right now, it's been somewhat consistent with Dortmund still out of the picture of the top four.
Something very unfortunate and something very scary when thinking about the quality of their squad and which players of their squad will stay and which players of their squad will go. I read a little thing on Instagram that said Haaland said, why are you talking to me about my future? I'm not worried about my future. I have 2 more years on my contract or something. Something like that.
Yeah.
Which is alright. But I'm not sure if that genuinely was an interview or what, because I suspect if they don't get a Champions League spot this year, I suspect Haaland to be leaving for one of those bigger clubs. It's just really important that if Borussia Dortmund can keep all these young players together, then in years they'll have a chance to actually bully Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
But as of right now, it's not looking very yellow in Germany.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all we got for the Bundesliga. Like I mentioned earlier, we'll probably get into it more as the more matches are played and we see any movement in the top of the table. But yeah, I mean, we do have La Liga, but La Liga is a pretty interesting topic. So we always get into Liga Nos because it is a great pool of young talent in Portugal. So we always like to give it a shout. So we'll just touch on that real quickly before we get on to Spanish League and then some international topics to close out the show. So, I mean, looking at Liga Nos, Sporting, which we talked about in our pre-show meeting, still in first place, having gotten points from their last 5, just as Porto have. They've gotten 13 points out of a possible 15. Benfica have also done the same. Benfica are 3 points back of Porto with 51 points. Porto has 54 points. Sporting, meanwhile, have 64 points at the top of the table. So that's tough when you're looking at a league that's played 24 matches so far, and they are 12 games away from the end of the season. There's still time, but Sporting has yet to lose a game the entire season. So, I mean, Camilo, you're more of a Porto fan than I am. I'm more of a Porto Champions League supporter. So, I mean, what does this mean for them on the season? They're obviously still in a Champions League spot.
Yeah.
So are they trying to challenge for the league or just trying to maintain their place?
I think that they are trying to maintain their place in the league right now. As I was watching the second leg of the Porto game against Juventus, the commentators were speaking about how Porto aren't really in any competitions other than the Champions League right now, or in contention to win. As Sporting have run away with the Liga Nos title, unless something disastrous were to happen to them, then there's no real competition. So they're trying to get that Champions League revenue, and get further and further in the Champions League just for that revenue. So it's something that's going to be interesting to watch, because I suspect Porto will kind of they won't really put their foot on the gas as much with the league itself. And I'd be afraid as a Porto fan to watch Benfica crawl up that second place spot with the pretty good squad. But they did lose against Arsenal, meaning Benfica have the ability just to focus on Liga Nos for that second place spot for the Champions League. But it's something we're gonna have to wait and see, Jared, because this is, I think, as the season goes on, the race for second place is gonna heaten up, because you have 36 games in Liga Nos, and so far there have only been 24 matches played.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you really think about it, something Port Sporting aren't gonna give up that spot
Mm-hmm.
unless they lose like all of their games
Yeah.
now on, and Porto or Benfica just win all their games. So
Yeah.
it's something worrying to see, but I I mean I think this might be a good thing for Porto. They'll have a league to focus on now,
Mm-hmm.
the Champions League.
Yeah, if you think about that,
But
it's the same case with Leicester, except the inverse relationship in that Leicester lost out of the Europa League and now they can focus on their position in the Premier League, my bad. And Porto, meanwhile, will try to focus on the Champions League while knowing that they can still maintain their league position. So I mean, that's definitely a bright spot for them. And then other than that, in the Liga NOS, the movement's pretty much
well,
similar.
actually, the one other thing with Porto is they don't have that domestic cup to still play in, as I think uh they lost a match in there, so they're no longer really in it.
Yeah, they lost to Braga in early this month. So yeah, they're really
So
only in
it's
the league and
whereas
only in the
Leicester,
Champions League.
yeah, Leicester's got that is it semifinal or
Yeah,
quarterfinal?
semifinal against Southampton, the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They got that semifinal against Southampton, which I suspect they'll win.
Yeah. Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
really quickly, let's just talk about. I'm springing this up on you
Mhm.
very surprisingly. I assume you don't have any notes open on it, but let's talk about Scotland. The
Scotland.
Scotland Premiership. Scotland forever.
Alright.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now,
Real quick, I'll tell you which teams I know off the top of my head. I'm looking at a screen, but I'm not looking at a screen with Scottish Premier League stuff in it. So, we got Rangers, Celtic, as they say, Aberdeen,
Yep.
Hearts, St. Johnstone, St. Mirren, um, that's it. But I feel like that's more than most people because the league is around 10 or 12 teams. So,
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
It is 12 teams, and you got most of those. You got all those teams, so. So I just wanted to let's give a round of applause to Steven Gerrard and his Rangers.
oh, that's a good shout there. Worthy shout.
Right now, they've already won the league. But right now they are 20 points ahead of the second place team, Celtic, with 69 points, and Rangers have 89 points.
That is very
So
nice. Very nice.
congratulations, Steven Gerrard. Congratulations, Alfredo Morelos. And congratulations the rest of the Rangers squad.
You know what's crazy that I didn't think about the Scottish Premier League? I didn't know that the bottom 6 clubs just automatically get relegated.
I thought it was a battle. I think it's a relegation battle.
So like, is it like
I have
one?
no idea.
So it's like they're put in a pool and then one team gets relegated in the end or something. Like
So
if you win, it's probably
I'll-
like if you win, then you're safe, and then if you lose, you have to continue to play until.
I'll explain it like
I
this
do know
because I had
Kilmarnock. It's how Billy Gilmore says
Yeah.
it. Kilmarnock, Ross County, Dundee United.
I don't really know how Scotland and their league works, but I'll base it off what I do know, and I do know a little of the Belgian league because I had a Football Manager save once a few seasons in there. I'm suspecting that maybe this second phase they have is going to be all the relegation teams, the bottom 6 teams, face each other. Maybe home and away, maybe just one time. And then all the championship teams face each other. And they get like points. They get more points between that. I'm not sure.
It's very interesting.
It's an interesting little, I guess, way that they have it.
Yeah, again,
but
when we
congratulations to Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, again, when we plug things like that, I'll plug our mini episodes. Those are topics that we like to delve into, just super hyper specific things that we can get into, like how the Scottish Premier League works, Jesse Lingard evolution, Johnstone's career trajectory, things like that. We'll
Yeah.
try to bring you more specific topics of maybe things we like, things you guys like, and or just things that puzzle us like this. So I mean, Stephen G was
Yeah.
definitely worthy of a quick shout, and the Premier League as well, because it's definitely one of the more underrated leagues in the United Kingdom, being kind of little brother
And
to the Premier League, of course.
honestly, it's these mini episodes we're gonna have will be mostly podcasts. Some of them may have pictures. I'm not sure,
Hmm.
but yeah, this is gonna be a new thing that we're gonna experiment with, and we'll see where it goes. Now let's move. We move to the La Liga table,
Yeah.
or anything else you want to say about Liga Nos?
No, I'm pretty much set with that. After we get through La Liga, if you have any notes on whether it's the American national team, Colombian team, or any of the international draws, we'll get into that. The England team we'll
All
probably
right.
touch on as well, with Jesse Lingard back among others. So, yeah, but look no further with La Liga. Atletico is still in first place. We were talking about their defensive system earlier on in a Champions League mini episode that should have been uploaded before this at the very least. So, I mean, you go check that out. But this is officially episode 3, of course. And Atletico are now at 66 points at the top of the table, having taken 11 out of possible 15 points. Meanwhile, Barcelona in second place with the same amount of matches played. It's won their last 5. Pretty good form for the Catalonians. Sevilla is in 4th place. Real Madrid is in 60... is in 3rd place with 60 points. In Sociedad with David Silva was a team that they thought could be a dark horse to get into the Champions League. But it looks like that quality from Papu Gomez and Rakitic has kept Sevilla into their Champions League spot yet again. Meanwhile,
Very unfortunate.
Valencia, it's a good thing that they're not in the relegation zone anymore. They're at 33 points in 12th. So mid-table, it's good that they're safe. Elche, where Johan Mojica and Pablo Gazzaniga play on loan, are just above the relegation zone. And unfortunately, Eibar, a small town of 20,000 people in Spain with a 5,000 seat capacity stadium that's been in the Europa League before, is in the relegation zone. Their goalkeeper scored a penalty against, I want to say, Real Madrid this year. So fantastic, but not fantastic for them. And yeah, I mean, pretty much the league picture is really within reach, because when you think about Atletico, yeah, they will still get points. Like, you see the draws that they've gotten, and Barcelona has won their last 5. Do they look like they could win the league? Yeah, but even then, when you're like a fan of the league and you're watching, you're saying, well, they're not really getting strong performances. Like Atletico Madrid, though, they tied 0-0 to Getafe in their last match before they played Alaves. And they tied 0-0, and Getafe had a red card. So if it doesn't tell you about their system and the way they play, I don't know what else it could tell you. I mean, Atletico have some easy matches coming up on their schedule, but they need to get results in order to stay in that position. So, Camilo, I mean, what are your first impressions of the table, and what do you think happens in the future?
I don't see Atletico de Madrid staying at the top. I mean, I don't think Diego Simeone will adapt enough to keep them there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I don't even think Ronald Koeman himself is a good manager.
Oh, me neither, yeah.
But I think he has a strong enough Barcelona team, and I think he's finally he's put the pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, he's banged the sticks together enough to where he understands how to use the team, what their best assets are and what their worst assets are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's finally understanding that, and now he's going up in the league. And now, since he doesn't have Champions League to worry about, he can focus on the league.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about what other teams Madrid has to face, as well as Barcelona, as well as Real Madrid.
Well, yeah, but
I think
for Atletico, they have Sevilla, who's in 4th, of course, but The other draws are manageable for them for a victory. Betis, Huesca, Bilbao, Eibar, Elche, before they have to face Barcelona. So those are wins that they should be able to get.
The thing is, should they, with their system in place and such, as you said before, they tied Huesca, or what team
They
did they
tied
tie with?
Getafe, and Getafe was a man down.
Exactly. I feel like that's an example. They are they gonna really beat Real Betis?
What you're saying
I don't
is
think so.
that
I think they'll get a point against Real Betis.
yeah, what you're saying is that for a team that has that quality up front, they shouldn't be playing to not lose. They should be playing to win.
It is not sustainable for a team with Luis Suarez and João Felix to be playing so defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, they have players like Kieran Trippier who can do all right in a fullback position defending.
Mm-hmm.
But is he really built for defending? I watched him in Spurs. No, I don't really think he's super built for defending.
Yeah, like
Granted, that was his last season.
when you think
there,
of
and I heard that was
when you think of Suarez, like his main role for Uruguay is a counterattack, so he's always been a lethal guy like Cavani as well. But yeah, in Barcelona he was able to play possession-based football, so like he's really suited for any system. He's a great striker to have. But yeah,
he's world class.
He's world class,
as you might say.
Mm-hmm, world class to be able to adapt in those systems, and he unfortunately, for him, when he's playing in this system, he does have to play on the counterattack, but he also has to defend a lot. So it's good that he has those offensive chances, but it's often they're not able to use the ball out of possession a lot because he's often just in on his own, even though he's one of the leading goal scorers in the league, I believe. But if we go on with that, do I think it's sustainable? Honestly, I do, because he's won the title before Simeone has. I do think it get him results, but I feel like sometimes with managers like Simeone, you could think of Jose and with his Spurs team, but like I don't think it's fair to place blame on Jose because I think the players have let him down. But if I look at Atletico, they have a more disciplined squad that's really plays for the gaffer, and basically that system is like ride or die. So we use that system. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which team. It's an absolutist universal system that you use for every game. Doesn't matter if you're playing Elche.
System.
Absolutely, yeah. It doesn't matter if you're playing Elche. It doesn't matter if you're playing Barcelona. Which it works well against Barcelona for the most part. But sometimes if they try to play like that against Elche, it gives them chances that they really shouldn't be giving them because they should be holding the ball. So like, do I think it's sustainable? Yes, because they've proven results before when they've had strikers like Antoine Griezmann. I think they could get the job done. Will it be close? Yes. I do think I could be very well wrong. I'm kind of 50-50 with this prediction. Obviously, we'll get to it as the season closes. There's exactly 10 match days left, which means Atletico would have to try to hold those results for most of those games because it looks like there's no stopping Barcelona at this time.
That's the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Barcelona are playing like a steamroller on a giant flatbed of a pancake.
Yeah, and it's weird because we haven't talked about Real Madrid that much. Sevilla's out of the contention, of course, but they're going to keep their fourth place
Real
spot.
Real Madrid, they're there, but I don't see them. I just don't see them having the squad or even just the management to push them up that 6 points.
They've also been nowhere near as consistent as Barcelona.
Yeah. Whereas Barcelona, they were in 9th for a while there, were they not?
Mm-hmm.
In La Liga. And now they're in 2nd. I mean, yes, it's been a few months and time has passed quickly, but I was just surprised that they got up so high so quickly.
The thing is, though, Real obviously has the quality because they're the only Spanish team left in the Champions League. But, I mean, we'll see if things
Do they, though?
They do, obviously. Benzema is one of the best strikers in the world, one of the best true strikers behind Lewandowski. Their midfielders probably arguably one of the best, even though it's aging, with Casemiro, with Modric and Cruz. And then their outside backs are young, not as experienced as Sergio Ramos up there with Varane. And then Courtois is still one of the best keepers in the world, although he has made some mistakes with that team. Hazard hasn't been fit at all, and I don't think he's the player he was if he continues to get injured. The only thing is kind of their outside wingers are a little bit iffy. If they can improve with Vinicius and Rodrigo comes in sometimes, I do think that they need a supporting cast around Benzema. That's for sure.
That's the problem. I don't see Benzema. I see Benzema as one of the best players. I don't see him getting anything from them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my problem with Real Madrid. Also, I just don't see Zidane giving them a good enough options, I guess. May it be because of bias or because I think maybe he's a fairly inexperienced coach in comparison to the likes of Simeone or even Ronald Koeman.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's also something that I feel like could be a possibility.
Yeah.
Because Simeone has been he's been coaching. He's been coaching for how long now? This team for how long?
Well, first he played for them professionally, and now he's been coaching. He has to have been for over 10 years now.
Yeah,
he's coached Koke and Saul for their whole careers.
There you go. This was a man who used to play against. Diego Simeone was playing when Colombia beat Argentina 5-0. Just a point, paint a perspective at how old this man is. Because you guys know when Colombia beat Argentina 5-0, right? Yeah.
Obviously.
But, I mean, I could see Madrid coming away with it still, but I'm leaning towards Barcelona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so.
And I'm praying that Real Sociedad pick it up and they get that 4th place finish.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see for them, but I just don't think they get it done, in my opinion. Their form hasn't been great. I mean, it's the same as Sevilla, but I do think Sevilla has that quality in the final third that can really put them over the top. But, yeah, I mean.
I guess, but done.
Yeah, I mean, plenty left to be decided. This is definitely one of the things we'll look into along with the Bundesliga as far as things that are still up in the air. Even the French League as well, that's up in the air, whereas when we touched on the English Premier League, City's obviously running away with it, but the European places are still up for grabs. I mean, if we think about European places, it's great to see that there's a little bit of a break now for international soccer. I mean, I don't think it's great in some respects with the fact that there might have to be quarantine laws that might prevent star players from getting their call-ups. I'm sure that's something the club managers have been complaining about. I think Jose as well for Spurs, but a great,
especially with Korea.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I mean, it's great at least to see American soccer. We like talking about American soccer. We like talking about Colombian soccer. But I think one thing to quickly highlight is the return of 2 key players to the English national team, which Jesse Lingard got their part because of the injuries to James Maddison and Jack Grealish being considered. But also, I do think he deserved it because of his fantastic form with West Ham. Jesse Lingard makes a return to the English national team for the international friendlies. I think that's a fantastic achievement for the young talent. Only at 27 years old, I think it's fantastic to see that he's finally back after some rough times. He not only got divorced from his wife, who abandoned his kid, his grandmother also died during the pandemic, and it's great to see him rebound from that.
Very happy for them.
Yeah. And then also, probably the best, most supported player on this show. I do think that he deserves more credit. I do think he's one of the best center backs in the league. Maybe the world. John Stones also making his return After being benched for 2 years straight by Pep Guardiola, I honestly, I wouldn't have the mental discipline or wherewithal to say, I'm going to win my spot back at the best club in the world, historically, in the domestic leagues, Man City. But John Stones did that. I don't know.
Historically.
I don't even think that was a Pep thing to say Pep was a great coach for motivating him. I think it was just John Stones digging in deeper and realizing that, hey, I might have been a little naive to say, oh, get the call up to England at 21, oh, I'm so good or whatever. That was one thing that he said in an interview, that talking about the naivety of getting called up so early to think that you've made it when you should continue to keep your head down and have that work rate. And that's something he's really adopted with Man City, and getting on that 21 game unbeaten run was huge. And if Man City do win the Champions League, the only reason I'll be happy is for John Stones. So, I mean, big shout to him and Jesse Lingard for making the team. That's one main thing I wanted to touch on. But Camilo, you're usually a specialist on U.S. and Colombia. If you have anything else on that or other countries, we can go with that.
I did want to talk really quickly about England. Two things. Spurs got 2 call-ups. They got Harry Kane and Eric Dyer, which was surprising.
Eric Dyer, completely undeserved. I remember that now. Yes.
Yeah. And also,
you know who I think they should have called up instead?
Who?
I believe I want to say, Tyrone Mings made the team, right?
Yeah.
There was another English center back that was like fantastic, and I forgot his name. But
you know who?
Who?
You know who? A younger player in Everton.
Seamus Coleman?
What's his name? Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted Seamus Coleman, Tyrone Mings, Connor Cody. I think they're all better than...
Is he English?
Yeah. Sounds Irish, but he's English. I think those guys are much better than Dyer.
Yeah, Eric Dyer was...
And also...
I was surprised because...
Yeah, and then also, like, Maguire's obviously chosen, but I think Cody, Mings, and Seamus Coleman should be selected for the starting lineup. I know they'll pick Maguire, but he's such a hack.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dyer was surprising. You can go on.
Also kind of surprised that they... Not super surprised, but I was a little surprised they called up Bellingham.
Oh, hey Jude. Hey Jude deserves it.
Yeah, no.
So wholesome.
Well, he's a world-class player, but he's... I thought maybe a few other midfielders would be
like any... Maybe like
chosen over him.
You could pick 1 or 2 center midfielders right now. Who do you think they would have picked?
Yeah, but no, I mean, he's a good player. I'm happy for them. I'm not even really like an England supporter, to be fair. So I don't know why I'm talking about that.
I just watched the YouTube videos that the English YouTube channel posts. It's fantastic content. John Stones, Jesse Lingard. Great to see him back, but you can go ahead now.
Huh, it's weird. They never show Eric Kane.
Yeah, they never show Eric Lamela. Oh, wait, he's Argentinian.
I said Harry Kane.
Eric Kane.
Eric Kane. No, but you also got the under-21s England squad had like 3 players contracted to I think it was 3.
The Dane Scarlett get the call up?
Tottenham. Yeah. I'm not sure if it was Dane Scarlett, but Sessegnon and I think it's one of our not one of our goalkeepers. No, I'm not sure who else. Sessegnon and like 2 other, maybe Ollie Skip actually. But yeah, so good for Tottenham. It's like we have some pretty good we have some pretty good young players. Now, I really quickly want to touch on Spain. Did they call up Eric Garcia? Did they call up my boy Eric Garcia?
I want to say yes. Even though he's like hasn't played in the new season. Like he did play in 2020 during the COVID season. Like he played as in the back 3 against Lyon, but I don't think he's played a single minute this season, I want to say, in the Premier League at the very least. Because Pep now has 3 world-class center backs at his disposal.
I would say Eric Garcia should just move on. Whenever I think his contract will be expiring soon. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's actually at the end of this summer.
I think he should just move because Pep has really been annoying with him.
Mm-hmm.
But one big thing I want to talk about, the difference between Spain and England is England had like 3 players who weren't playing in the domestically.
Mm-hmm.
Now Spain have like 7 or 8 players. How much is it? Let me count right here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 players who are not playing domestically.
Mm-hmm.
Being called up,
And
which
for our
is something
listeners,
that's
basically what that means is if you're a Spanish international, it means that you're not playing in the Spanish league. You might be playing in England. It means you're not playing domestically.
exactly. So, for example, David De Gea, he's playing in Man United in England. He's not a domestic player.
Mm-hmm.
Unai Simeon, he plays in Athletic Bilbao.
Mm-hmm.
That's a domestic player. Anywho, I was just very surprised because I feel this is the reason the Spanish league has gone down. La Liga has gone down in recent years. When you think about it, it's because, I mean, they don't have as many domestic players on the international team. What do you think about that? Anything?
I mean, it's probably a fair assessment. I do think there are plenty of young talents, but at the same time, it's not doesn't have that reputation as for like Sergio Ramos playing there his whole career, Piqué, those world class players, Carles Puyol. You don't really see that anymore from the big teams. So like, it's kind of like when you think of like if you need a role model, you should be able to. If you want to have like a certain position when you get older, there should be a role model that helps you like picture yourself in those shoes. And for a lot of Spanish players, it's not necessarily happening now with kind of Piqué kind of being shuffled out at Barcelona now. So that's just one example, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably one thing that totally makes sense as to why.
I mean, even Jordi Alba.
Yeah, who played for
But,
Valencia, now at 34 years old, is probably going to be
Yeah.
ousted out at some point.
Now, let's talk about World Cup qualifiers. First off, South America.
Mhm.
They delayed it because of COVID. They delayed it, so now they're going to be playing 4 games in June or something.
Mm-hmm.
4 games in June during one international window. How many players are going to get injured is my question.
You say 4 games in Jude or 4 games in June?
4 games in June,
Okay.
I think, or something.
Yeah.
I'll look it up right now. But because of travel restrictions due to COVID,
Yeah, it's kind of like
They
how in
are-
Germany they didn't let Liverpool play against Leipzig. They
Yeah.
had to go to Budapest.
yeah, it'll be 4 games in June for the World Cup qualifiers, right before the Copa America, which is exciting as it's taking place in Colombia and Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing there, domestically. Not domestically, I mean just domestically in my house. And by in my house, I mean in my bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited about that. But, you got anything? U.S. national team, actually. I got a few things to talk about.
Yeah.
Called up, some good players.
Obviously, Serginho Dest
Yeah.
from Barcelona is there.
Yeah. I'm pulling up the national team call-up sheet right now.
Mhm.
Sorry about that, everyone. Sorry about that. I'm unprepared. And that's my bad. But, we don't have too many players that are playing domestically.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have some good players playing domestically right now. And
I know they
obviously
did
no
call up some
world-class
MLS players, but like
yeah, but like,
they're MLS players. That's people who are first-time listeners. I am not a big fan of the MLS. Never have been. I never will be. I do think that in 20
Oh.
years they should adopt promotion relegation. I don't think they're
Yeah, me
financially
too.
ready right now. Like some fans think they should just go right away. But when they have the money and they see the support in smaller markets, I think they need to go through with it. But we'll see.
And that'll especially, sorry about that. That'll especially be good for me and you, two Tampa Bay Rowdy supporters.
Mm-hmm.
If they do add promotion and relegation, and if the Tampa Bay Rowdies are playing in 20 years like they're playing right now, or last season at least, then yeah, there will finally be a Tampa team in the MLS once again.
Yeah, let's hope so.
But no, yeah. Rest in peace, Tampa Bay Mutiny.
R.I.P.
They called up like 3 MLS players, and they're all pretty good players.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Aaron Long.
Yeah.
But anyway, you got some pretty big players in there. You got Josh Sargent, you got Christian Pulisic.
Is Jonathan Hoppe there? Or Justin Hoppe? Schalke?
I don't
legend?
think so.
Ah, pain.
I'm not sure if Hoppe's there, but I know Musa's there.
Yeah, that's good.
From Valencia. But a big guy that I'm excited for is Daryl Dyke, yes.
Oh, yeah.
He plays for Barnsley right now, but he used to play for Orlando City.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope that he does get to play because I think a few of the players will not be playing.
Yeah.
Or the second game due to like they're getting called back to their club early.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly German players.
Yeah.
So without Josh Sargent there, I think Daryl Dyke has a bigger opportunity to maybe play.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who we did call up? Giacchini. I think he's a pretty good player.
Yeah.
He's an exciting young player. 20 years old, and nobody talks about him that much, but just like Josh Sargent, he's pretty young. He plays in Europe. And I mean, he's actually very versatile. He can go on both wings. He can go in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is something very useful for the U.S. squad because let's say in a World Cup, call up all these players and Christian Pulisic gets injured.
Yeah.
God forbid. Then you have Giacchini to fill in for him.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the guy from Young Boys, I can't pronounce his name, to fill in for him. So you got these big players that are really useful. Or these versatile players that are really useful.
Yeah.
Reggie Cannon. I also want to give a little shout out to Reggie Cannon, who plays in Boa Vista.
Mm-hmm.
He's a pretty good player. That's all I really had to say about him. What else? You got any more, any shout outs to players who are playing
Yeah,
in the U.S.?
For international soccer, I do have 2 quick shout outs. Probably one quick shout out would be Ryan Raposo for the Canadian national team. Syracuse graduate from last season, led his team with 15 goals last season, the Syracuse Orange. He's now getting his chance after being drafted by the Vancouver Whitecaps after getting back to Canada. And now he got his first call up to the Canadian national team, and today he was subbed into international play. So, I mean, that's fantastic for the young talent who came from Canada, and then he was drafted back into Canada from Syracuse. Nice Syracuse product. Syracuse University, of course, is the school I go to, and the men's soccer team is the team I report on. So I've been talking to the coach about things like that, and he's very proud to see some of his work shine through Ryan Raposo. So, I mean, congrats to Ryan. Congrats to the Canadian national team trying to launch a bit at the World Cup with some of the new young prospects they have. Of course, you think of Alphonso Davies, but yeah, maybe someday they'll be knocking on the United States' door.
Yeah. To be fair, they've made a World Cup when we didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But really quickly, let's just talk about the U.S.'s... Sorry, I'm going to go back to the U.S.
All right, we'll close out the show with the United States because that's what everyone listens for. U.S. national team, underwhelming, of course.
They have one player who's over the age of 30.
It's fantastic.
This just, I
Is
think,
it John
my opinion,
Brooks,
this
though?
shows. No, it's Tim Ream.
Tim Ream of Fulham.
John Brooks is... Excuse me. John Brooks is like 28. I have the thing right here.
I'll always remember his
and you got
header in the
Matt
group
Miazga.
stages. The 2014 World Cup.
Yeah, it was
Those
good.
absolute scenes.
I mean, you've even got a player who's playing in Belgium.
Mhm.
Like, a bunch of players playing in Belgium, so...
Yeah, that's where Yuri Tielemans developed, obviously, his native country. But he became the youngest player to ever play in the UEFA Champions League. So Belgium has a pretty good development league behind the Netherlands as well.
Belgium actually has 3 Colombian defenders. Or Genk does. Specific Belgian team.
Yeah, do not confuse Genk with Ghent. 2 different places, 2 different teams.
Yes. Both blue logos. Could get a little confused. They have like a little Latino back. They got Gerardo Ortega in the... Is it left back?
I think so.
Yeah, I think. Not that you'd know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Have you even heard of him?
Nope.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh,
And
maybe I'll be right.
Yeah, and then you got Carlos Cuesta, Jan Lucim, more guy. I forgot his name. Oh, Daniel Munoz. All them Colombians. All those 3 Colombians. So, I mean, they're exciting. Young. Not very young, but young prospects. 22, 20. 24. Like,
Somewhat young.
these are the players who couldn't really make it in the top 6. Or the top 5 leagues.
Yeah.
So they go to Belgium. Does Belgium have the bag? That's what I've heard.
I wouldn't know for sure. I know that if you played in
right,
France and you played for Monaco, it'd be great. The rest of the teams, not so much. But Monaco, yeah. As far as taxes.
And PSG.
Yeah. But
Well, not PSG. Well, kind of PSG because
yeah, but most of the
you
players
don't
have
really
their
need to care about the taxes.
permanent residences in at home. But
Yeah.
so technically their work they do get taxed for like work, but like when they file like their general taxes, they'll file them in their home country. For like example, in the like in the United States, your work salary gets automatically taxed in the state that you work in. So like if the Tampa Bay Lightning team, the hockey team, plays in New York, they get taxed on that away game based on New York taxes. So, but like how they spend their money on taxes is based on their permanent residence.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just a cool little anecdote. I mean, if you have anything else about international soccer before we close out the show.
I kind of just want to, run out the show for a bit, so...
Yeah, get it, fine.
I'm going to talk about a few players who didn't get called up. First off with Spain. Kepa didn't get called up.
Yeah, that's pain.
Very surprising, dude. That's...
I honestly...
No, it's not super...
If I will offer something about Kepa, I do think that he needs to get a second chance. I don't think it's fair that he's just marshaled all of the blame. But at the same time, you see how good this team's playing under Tuchel. With the same defenders Frank Lampard failed to coach. So, I mean, that's the most odd part.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think at such a young age, and to have been playing well in Bilbao, to have that price tag, I do think he has the talent and quality. So, I mean, we'll see if he does get his time at some point. But yeah, not surprised, but do think at some point he should get some chances.
Also have 2 other Spanish players playing in London, but these 2 players playing in North London. You have Sergio Reguilon and Hector Bellerin. Neither of them were called up either. Which, to me, I thought Reguilon should have been called up because he's doing pretty well with Spurs, I think. So I mean, I was surprised, but I don't know much about the other fullbacks on that side.
Yeah.
And lastly, the other player I was surprised that didn't get called up was Ansu Fati.
Mm. Didn't Adama
Or
get
is he
called
injured?
up?
Uh, Adama Traore?
Yeah.
I don't think he was called up for this
I
one.
know last one he got called up, and it's like, why would he get called up? He's built like a brick. How does he gone down like that? Like, he has the physical capabilities and all the ability to get in and create chances, but he never is able to finish, or for that matter,
Yeah.
have the right passing ability. So I mean, just doesn't have that refined touch, pretty much.
Yeah, that's why. That's probably why he wasn't called up this time. But
Hmm.
he played in that win against Germany. No, he was called up for that win against Germany.
Yeah.
They also have the guy born in Brazil who wasn't playing for Leeds, Rodrigo.
Hmm.
But that's enough about Spain.
Yeah, I mean, if I will give a quick shout, just that I forgot to before closing out the show. When you think about Italian internationals that were born in Brazil, you think of Jorginho Freo of Chelsea, who represented Italy at the national level. You think of like players switching allegiances. You think of Diego Costa switching from Brazil to Spain. But one player that recently finally got an international cap at the senior level is Atalanta central defender Rafael Toloi, who was born in Brazil, represented them at the under 19 level, but never represented them at the senior level because he became an Italian citizen 10 years ago through naturalization from his grandfather. And so only a few weeks ago he was granted access by FIFA after being a citizen for 10 years to be able to play for Italy. So he switched his representation and was recently called up by Mancini for his first international friendly, and he's hoping to get his first cap. So best of luck to Rafa, and best of luck to the Atalanta faithful who are representing teams at the international level, like Martin de Roon, among others, Robin Gosens for Germany. So plenty of players across different leagues, but I think that deserves a special shout because he's been waiting a long time for that chance.
And rest in peace to Wester McKennie and uh, Tyler Adams.
Hmm.
Not being called up. Which was very surprising because two of them played in the Champions League.
Maybe it's just the coach knows that they're going to be in, so it's just giving other players a chance to play.
Fair enough.
Knowing that
That's
they've
fair
been
enough.
exercised as starters, like give them a rest or something.
Actually, that's a good argument you got.
Because I believe Tyler Adams is a starter, whereas I know Weston McKennie has been starting every game for Pirlo.
Not every game, but
For the most part.
recently, actually.
Yeah, over Rabiot and players like that.
But I think that's gonna be it for this episode. I think we did great. I think I did great. I think Jared did even better. Jared has been doing spectacular
Completed
this
it, mate.
podcast.
Completed
Congratulations.
it. Fantastic, thank you.
You're won, both won, and let's go US for World Cup qualifiers. Even though that's not for like a while. Well, let's go US Nations League actually.
Yeah.
June. In June, you got a lot of things to watch.
Hmm.
But yeah, let's go US.
Hmm.
Big up to the US.
Yeah, big up to him. We touched on a lot of things. I mean, we got to a lot of stuff. Obviously, with the exception of the Champions League and European Cup competitions, we did mention it halfway through the episode. But if you're kind of just scrolling along looking for your favorite parts, the UEFA Champions League and Europa League is something we covered on a mini episode that's been previously uploaded. So check that out. It's going to be one of a series of many, many episodes that we decide to go into more hyper-specific topics. But for this, at least, we got into everything else we could. We did try to omit that and make that a mini episode so that we could include the international break, which has a lot of scenes. So when we get to the next episode, again, we'll release that on our social media once that is established with our new branding and logo. We'll either go through a bi-weekly or weekly content uploading schedule through the spring. Through the summer, we'll definitely have availability to probably get to a weekly basis. Then include mini episodes beyond that as well. But for now, just continue to follow along through your podcasting preferred platform, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, among other things. Just continue to watch our episodes, or listen rather. Watch if you're on YouTube in that respect. But we'll have our new branding, we'll be more consistent with our uploads, and we'll get back to you with the latest on world football. So for the Goal Hour, I'm Jared Johnston. He was Camilo Yepes.
And I'm Camilo Yepes.
And he is also Camilo Yepes, yet again, emphatically stating that we were proud to get it to you.